look who Joe Biden's looking to put in his cabinet. Gina Raimondo being considered as Biden's Treasury Secretary. She's the Rhode Island governor. She would not be a popular selection among progressives or organized labor.
Jeez.
Not popular with progressives, right on brand for the Democrats. Wow. Joe Biden's transition team has informed Democratic officials that Gina Raimondo is under consideration as the next Secretary of the Treasury should Biden win the election, multiple sources have confirmed. Other options include Ebenezer Scrooge, the ghost of Andrew Carnegie, and an Ayn Rand hologram. This is what you're voting for. You guys vote? You happy? You guys proud of yourselves? This is what you voted for. This is your antidote to Trump. Raimondo has built her career on subservience to Wall Street, and her selection would be an affront to organized labor, said David Segal, executive director of Demand Progress. She has built her career on subservience to Wall Street, and her selection would be an affront to organized labor. So she's a big grassroots organizer, right? That's what I'm getting. Raimondo, governor of Rhode Island, is a former venture capitalist who took the governor's mansion on the strength of millions of dollars in Wall Street donations. Raimondo's name will stir the long memories of union leaders. Union leaders will all give out a collective, shit. Unions have held a grudge with her for years over her tenure as state treasurer. Why? What'd she do? Well, when she cut pension benefits for public employees while steering over $1 billion in state money to hedge fund investments. So she's a real-life supervillain. Isn't that amazing? She's a real-life supervillain, and Joe Biden's going to put her in his cabinet. This is what you're voting for. Here's Joe. You want to see what else you're voting for? Here's Joe Biden.
Paul Ryan was correct. When he did the tax code, what's the first thing he decided we had to go after? Social Security and Medicare. Now, we need to do something about Social Security and Medicare. That's the only way you can find room to pay for it. I don't know.
He gets giddy about screwing over Medicare, and he gets giddy about it. They just gave $5 trillion to the richest oligarchs in the country, and he's telling you we can't afford Social Security. He needs to lean closer to the mic to avoid smelling his own bullshit. That's what I think he does. He leans so close to that mic, you think it was an 8-year-old girl's hair.
Senator, we have a deficit. We have Social Security and Medicare looming. The number of people on Social Security and Medicare is now 40 million people. It's going to be 80 million in 15 years. Would you consider looking at those programs, age of eligibility,
Absolutely.
cost of living, put it all on the table?
The answer is absolutely. You have to.
You have to. You got. I mean, come on. I mean, common sense says that you got to. Here. What's wrong?
Things that the political advisors say to me is, "Whoa, don't touch that third." Look, the American people aren't stupid. It's a real simple proposition. We have to do. You and I were talking about Bob Dole earlier. I was one.
All right, I've had enough. American people aren't stupid. They know we can't afford to take care of our old people. We got to cut Medicare and Social Security. We're in a huge deficit hole. How are we going to get out of this hole unless we push a bunch of old people in it? He's been trying to cut Social Security and Medicare his whole goddamn career. Now he's going to put a woman in the cabinet who just cut retirement benefits for union workers. Okay. Wow. A lawyer says the family of a black man who was killed when police fired on him more than a dozen times in Philadelphia had called for an ambulance to get him help with a mental health crisis, not for police intervention. So I just want to point out, the reason why I showed you all these clips because of who he's putting in his cabinet, and Joe Biden has been trying to loot Social Security and Medicare his whole life. And they just did loot the treasury. They got $5 trillion for their richest oligarch
Senator,
friends. And so a lawyer says the family of a black man who was killed when police fired on him more than a dozen times had called for an ambulance to get him help, not for police intervention. Joe Biden? Biden says no excuse for looting. So it's okay for his rich friends in suits and ties to loot the American treasury. But black people are being gunned down in the street left and right by the state without any repercussions. That's the looting that he wants. There's no excuse for it. The other looting, it's okay. Hey, Joe, they were just shooting Walmart in the leg. They weren't looting. Rumsfeld says looting is a transition to freedom. You know, remember that Iraq war you voted for and you wagged your finger at people for not supporting even after it started and everyone knew it was horrible? Joe Biden, the Iraq war, remember that? The Iraq war that you loved? Well, the guy who ran it said looting is a transition to freedom, so maybe that's what they're doing when they're looting, Joe. Federal Reserve to lend an additional $1 trillion a day to large banks. That's not looting, though, right? That's not looting.
And the first chance some of y'all got, y'all took your asses home and started talking Biden-Harris. How the fuck we spent all summer talking about abolish the police, but the first chance we get, we sitting up here talking about voting in the author of the crime bill and someone that calls themselves a top cop. The math ain't fucking mathing. The math ain't mathing. Which one is it? We have to be clearer than ever what we are out here fighting for. This ain't no cute little movement. This ain't no tweet. This ain't no fucking Instagram post. Black people are trying to live.
So there you go. There's black people saying after a whole summer of protests, we're about to vote in the author of the crime bill and someone who calls herself the top cop. Hey, maybe if I vote for Trump, I can push him to the left. So expecting Biden and Harris to do anything about police brutality is like expecting an insurance company to solve our health care crisis. That's not happening. So there you go. So now, I mean, I don't know. I'm just warming up doing these segments about how horrible Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are, because you could do it and his cabinet. I mean, this is amazing. This is amazing. This is like Nixon shit that Joe Biden's doing. And you got to vote for it or you're not a good person. And then everybody else can go to sleep after Joe Biden's and go back to brunch. Okay. Wow. 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 Joe Biden's got their endorsement. Hey, he's not everything we want. So there you go. And all the Justice Democrats are telling you to vote for this. This is it. This is why you vote for progressives, so they support this shit. Really? Instead of screaming about it? Yep. And now you know why Joe Biden becomes president. Things are going to get worse, man. Way worse. Who do you think Joe Biden's going to take care of? He's going to take care of the billionaire class first, and then the millionaire class. And by the time he gets around to you, it's going to be just like it was with COVID. They got nothing. Wow. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.